the Wi-Fi, and it's on, by the way. We're live. But even though it's got this Ethernet cable,
yeah.
it acted like when it was on Wi-Fi when there was too many people on it, because it'd kick it off and bring it back up. And so I'm just not convinced it's not something else, but if my Wi-Fi wasn't working well because of this cord,
Well, I'm
it
thinking,
may pick it up better because it's all in a switch.
I'm thinking that even when you're using the cable,
Uh-huh.
you're faster when you're connected, but you're still sharing time.
Well,
So if
that's what
there's-
they keep telling me, and I keep saying, okay, what happened in this last month? Because I've never done anything different
Right.
Yeah.
since right after we started doing these. And so it's like, okay, nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Everybody still has their iPad. Everybody comes in. And so I'm just like, okay, I don't believe you.
Hello.
Good
how are
evening,
you?
sir.
Hello, Paul.
We are on live stream at this moment. We're going to see how long it keeps going.
So if I say anything about Darren being a really low life, maybe
That's right. That's right. You know,
You will probably hear about it.
you've already picked it up, and everybody else has too.
Be in the paper tomorrow.
Live stream has started, so and Phil's already said something about you, so it's
About it again?
Yeah.
Pictures?
I went out, Paul, I went out and staked that building today.
Oh, did you?
And that's no problem, I know you're busy, and
Well, I knew that you had wanted the property line staked. I did go by the other day, and they were already trenching.
Yes.
I said, well, kind of a waste of time.
well, in fact, they were, but, you know, you located it pretty good off of the Legion Hall barbecue pit.
Mhm.
And so I used those stakes. And then the back fence was, you showed the back fence was right on it.
Property line, yeah.
So we just paralleled off of that and squared up the building. And I moved it over another 2 feet. Because it's the existing Legion Hall and our roof would be that close to each other. And I don't want to get them to have to move their roofs, so. And we have room, so I just moved it over 2 more feet.
And it's city property. Nobody's going to fuss.
Yeah, all friendly neighbors. And no time, I will let them know when all that stuff got built. Finished and everything else.
Darren, where'd you get coffee?
It's nice and cold. It's sitting right in there. Is it back there? Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll let it go.
Hey, man. Hey, I'm getting ready to start up the council meeting. What's going on? No. Yeah, no, we changed the schedule full time to 5 o'clock.
I
Yeah.
have more masks for you guys. You want them?
Well, does it say happy face with Castroville on it?
It's got mustache.
Just call in.
I'll take a mustache.
Let me get, let me find the call-in information. Oh, here it is right here. Let me text it to you right now.
You need to pay attention to it the next time.
Cool. Hold on. Right, text me if you have any problems getting on, okay?
Forgot we were live streaming, so I'll put my mask back on. I forgot we were already online. I'll put my mask back on.
Yep.
You can take it to, you can take it off to, take candy or,
I'll put on my new one. I have not gotten into the habit of taking a mask everywhere I go, so I get myself.
I keep like 3 of them in my car just in case.
same way with me, you know.
I did that, but then I use them and then I wear them away, and then they're not in my car anymore.
Well, I wear our library mask proudly.
Yep.
She's bringing new ones, she said.
I like that one. It's just a little bit thick to actually be able to talk through.
I was down in Colorado the other day, and my whole face was so sweaty. My mask was completely sopping.
Well, I'm fortunate that I don't work around people, so I don't worry about it
Yeah.
when I'm at work. But, you know, all of a sudden, here comes a landowner who wants to talk to me. It's like, just a second, let me run over to the truck.
Can't get within 12 feet, I use factor safety too.
that's all. Only minor changes to that.
I looked down. And there he is, he's stretching as far as he can to put his head on her paw. And she's letting him know.
So I get up this morning and the first thing I hear is water running. I'm going, that doesn't sound good. So I go check.
Your water running?
Check faucets and toilets, and sure enough, one of the toilets is sitting there hissing. So
All right, no.
crank that thing off. I still hear water running. Checking around. The second toilet doing the same thing. Two of them at the same time. So tonight, guess what I'm going to be doing?
Hang on, big water bill.
Hopefully not. Hopefully it was a very slow trickle,
Yeah.
but
Well, sometimes that hard water just crisps up the guts inside the toilet
yeah,
tank.
but both valves on the same night, and two valves fell out.
It's a conspiracy.
It's all that particulate matter that got in the
And
line.
they say that's hard water in Texas.
What is
It's all
that?
that particulate matter that got in the line last month.
They sure allow it.
Hey, I've been there, done that.
Equipment.
That runs into the blue.
So I'll be changing out toilet valves tonight after I get home.
What's going on, the contraption or the flap?
The valve wasn't shutting off even though the float was floating and the lever came up. It was just running until it topped out the drain pipe. I'm told that somebody's created a better toilet. I haven't seen one yet though.
It is, it's a non-flushable pipe. You
Well,
just
yeah,
take
it
a hole in the yard.
It doesn't have a float valve or a flap. It basically opens a valve.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Stephanie told me the new one they put in has a 1.5 gallon tank instead of a 5 gallon tank.
Wow.
With an infrared sensor on it?
No, but it uses pressurized water, and the
Oh, like a
tank.
little mini pressure tank.
Like on the airplane,
I've
basically.
got it to where in
I like
case someone
it.
gets up and speaks, so they can
They have those
see.
big.
And I'm trying to keep
Yep.
it to
Yeah, as
where
long
It's a really good idea.
Yeah, as long as you're not sitting on it, you press flush.
you'll see your arm.
It's too much suction.
Hard plastic. It's kind of goes inside the water bottle. And it just takes back, like I said, gallon and a half of water, just builds up air pressure in there. So when you flush, it's.
Well, good evening.
Am I here at the wrong time? How are y'all?
Good, how are you?
Like church, they come in and let
Looking forward to the coming
Easier to
rain.
do it from the front than the.
All right, now I gotta use this. How are you? Todd's trying to confuse me. Oh, Todd touched me.
I'll just laugh.
You're laughing too much.
Show the video that you're doing it.
There you go.
That's right. And I have more, so I think
You're
I
on
need
video,
one more
you know
too.
that.
Y'all may have to share. Okay.
I'm discouraging the church, but St. Francis has put these automatic things out now. Stick your hand under it.
Right.
And whatever they put was sticky. It smelled really different, and it was sticky. Oh, probably already texted me.
Well, if you use this, it's not very bad. It's very bad alcohol,
Very bad alcohol.
like liquor. It is liquor.
That's what he uses.
And there's one the other day I saw, and it may have been one of those, it said something about it's not potable alcohol, and I thought, I didn't know there was such a thing as potable alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
Or how they call it
I
that.
You drink it every day.
I
Well,
think
yeah,
I experience that
but
pretty regularly.
I just never see it.
One makes you go
listed
blind, the other one
Listed
doesn't.
that way.
I just wanted to make sure he was legit.
You know, when all that stuff happened, like initially with COVID, I got
9
a
months.
gallon of
100
Everclear,
what?
and I mixed it with
He's at 98 now.
the aloe vera so that people wouldn't be
That was a,
tempted to spray
yeah, he's a big boy.
You can drink
He is
out
a
of
big
it, too.
boy.
That's true. It just tastes like crud.
I'm like, no, don't come near me.
That's a baby face still. He's still got a baby face. He hadn't grown into those years yet.
Yeah, and it's misleading.
Let's say I'm drinking Everclear. I've never drinking.
That was the closest our our good girl wanted to get near him
Well,
that day because he had been.
I'd washed a shower
Just in a
with
bad
the wind
mood.
shiners, they didn't turn their stills
And
into.
of course, our kid
To do
wanted to see how big you got, and he was like, "Here, there you go."
And some of the guys on there, they said, we're doing it for free.
How's your son doing?
Showed them the still.
Very well.
Good.
Hand sanitizer, they
There,
said people can't get it, and so that's what we're gonna do.
weeks ahead on his assignment.
That's why I say, I'm sure this is.
Well, I
But
think one of the,
the governor of South Carolina,
vodka
the
place
cases
up
are
in Austin,
skyrocketing still, so I was looking at.
I think they
shutting
went to
down.
making
And
St.
they
John's
started all
Sandwich.
back
Say, please don't
online,
put this on the
which the
week,
majority of
you
his
know,
classes are already online.
Regulated,
So,
you
I
know.
mean-
Yeah, I
But
just
yeah, I
got
think it was
asked
Tito's,
today if I would do a course next
Rocky.
July, and I said,
They
sure.
had a bunch,
I
somebody
said,
started making
well,
it.
you're gonna have to do it remote. I said, oh, well, that's
Now, I don't
different.
know. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind
That
of
means
smoothed
rewriting the
out a little
course.
bit, but still, I'm
I've
sure
already
that
said yes, so I guess
you don't
that's
see the
it.
regular
You
brands.
gotta
Yeah.
change the teaching method and everything, yeah.
Well, I mean, no classroom activities, you know, no
Right,
paper
no interacting
exchange.
in person.
Wait a second. So is this 20?
Phil, are you able to get are you able to get the agenda and stuff on the iPad now?
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't send it to you a different way this time, and I want to make sure you got it.
I get it, but typically I just load it on this. But since it's getting it on that, and that's the official one,
Yeah, because I didn't know, I didn't
Terminology
send you a
is new
separate one, I don't think
terminology,
this
so I
time
guess
on the
it-
packet.
with my email coming in this, I can do it off my email on this one also.
2020.
Because, you know, you send the email to you don't need to send it to the other addresses right now, since I have the
I thought we were 2020.
District 3 address up. That's where I just download
Well, and
that.
if we move forward with the, what did we decide? The one laptops, it is,
Like, it's a-
the Surface tablets, we'll
Yeah.
have to redo all of it anyway, but hopefully we'll.
But then he's missing a column.
Just don't make it too hard, I get headaches when I
Oh.
get this stuff.
We'll-
I think he's
I
looking
bought
at
these.
FY.
Not me.
I bought this for Mary and and it had the new Outlook on it, and it was, for a year, I just kept it on the shelf.
Starting of this
And
year.
used my
Yeah,
old
the
one.
fiscal year, maybe
Just
you want to say
finally-
FY.
Fiscal year starts this year, so that might be the beginning of fiscal year, October. Next month.
Oh, and so that'll be what we pay on 2020,
Through
the end of 2021. Okay, that makes sense.
I'd love to keep this on.
Hey, time.
Okay, one second.
1 minute, you have a whole minute.
I have one caller. I said,
You gotta get time to fill it.
5 o'clock?
Sorry, he'll come when he slams the gavel.
I want to do it. All right. Are you ready? Okay, let's call to order the regularly called meeting on Tuesday, September 8th at 5 o'clock. Okay, roll call, we have Todd's half missing. We have everybody here. All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
and I don't see our pastor, so.
What's that?
I said, I don't see our pastor for tonight.
Okay. Councilman King, do you feel like doing the invocation?
Listen to me.
I can't hear you through your mask.
That's true.
Dear God, look over us and help us make the decisions that we need to be made for our citizens. Help our citizens stay safe, help our nation stay safe. Amen.
Very good. Very well said. Thank you.
I thought we were done already, I'm sorry.
All right, so let's go to citizens' comments. Do we have anybody online right now?
I do have one.
I'm on the phone with Brian Bursine.
Okay, there we go. Go ahead, Brian.
Let me fix you.
Oh, hold on.
Y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. My name's Brian Bursine. I'm calling on behalf of the Shops at Castroville LLC. And we just wanted to announce that we're going to start Fiorillo's Fridays again, starting the first Friday of November, November 6th. and we're planning a half-day Rail Friday run from 5 to about 9 p.m. We worked as a group to put together a preliminary plan for how the event's going to kind of be put together. We put together maps to show the different routes and places where things will be set up. But most importantly, we have participation guidelines during this time of COVID-19. I think we put together a pretty good plan for y'all to review and take a look at. And really, this is going to be sponsored by the Shops of Castroville, but we really like to get the city involved with it. And that's really all I have to say. I did have copies of everything. I'd like to email you all so you can take a look at it. And that's just a different way I should share this sort of information with you all.
That's great. Just send it to Deborah.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Brian.
You should have my notes tomorrow, Brian.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, anybody else? Nobody outside?
I'll double check. One more thing. No, he's my only caller, so.
Okay. All right. And next item. So updates on governor's orders and status report on COVID-19 cases within Medina County. So we're going to change this up enough, just a little bit, just to talk about what's going on. So I don't think we've got a bunch of events that are going on, so I figured I'd just give an update. So as of today, we have 18 active cases in Castroville, which is down. We're still the highest in the county. And we have 203 recovered cases.
There's one case at the high school that was reported last week. They're contacting the students and the teachers that the person was in contact with. And then 2 days after that, there was an active case at the middle school doing the same protocols. So
Hopefully they got good protocols in place to be able to
we'll
keep them
see,
safe. And
but the school immediately contacted parents that had children at both campuses and everything. So they're working it diligently.
Great. Okay. And there's no other updates that I'm aware of. We had the call with Judge Schuhart today, and there's nothing new that's going on with that. So look forward to seeing. Hopefully the cases go down, but still a lot to find out with school back in session. So.
And the Labor Day weekend just finished.
And a Labor Day weekend, yes. All right. Any discussion on that? I guess we don't have discussion. Okay. Moving on to consent agenda. So we have three consent agendas. So we have one for minutes for August 20th, 2020, specially called council meeting, which was a budget work session. Another one for B is minutes for August 25th, 2020, specially called council meeting, which was another budget work session. And then C is minutes for August 25th, 2020, regularly called council meeting. Any comments on any of those? Any discussion on that? Nope. Do I have a motion?
Changes? I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
All right. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. All right. Next one, public hearing on proposed tax rate of 0.495178 for FY 2020. Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
You need to open the public hearing.
Oh, opening the public hearing at 5:06.
Sorry, I forgot about that.
Thank you.
And we still have the one caller. I don't know if they want to speak on it or if you want him
Okay.
to do his presentation first, and that way we can ask afterwards.
Sure.
All right, let's do that.
Okay, so right quick, I should have a copy of the actual handout on the public hearing. So if I may, I'm going to go get started. Just right quick, Senate Bill 2 made several changes to the truth in taxation process. And basically, they went from new terminology. We were used to hearing effective tax rate, rollback rate, and so forth. Now it's called the no new revenue tax rate, the voter approved tax rate, and so forth. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but just keep in mind you want to look at that effective and rollback rate is what we really want to pay attention to. Again, going back on the terminology, they didn't really give us much of a definition as far as what it was. This came from the Texas Comptroller's office. And so they basically, as a first one, the no new revenue tax rate, it tells you how you get to that number. So I'm not really going to go into detail with this, but bottom line, the no new tax revenue and the voter approval tax rate is the ones that we really want to pay attention to. do you have any questions? Again, I don't want to go into too much detail on the terminology because it really doesn't honestly make sense. So,
Well, the basics of it are pretty straightforward,
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
the details is
it's
where
a
it gets a little...
calculation. I wish they would have given us a define more of a, I guess, a definition versus this is how you get to it.
Right.
So, so what adopted tax rates trigger an election or a petition? So if the tax rate is below the voter approved tax rate, there's no election required. If the adopted tax rate is above the voter approval tax rate but below the de minimis rate, voters may petition for an election. Doesn't mean you have to have one, but they can petition it. If the tax rate is above the voter approved tax rate, then of course it does require an election. And then again, if it's above the voter approved tax rate and above the de minimis rate, an election is required. So right now we're on that first one. It's below the voter approval tax rate. So no election is required. They can't file a petition. So basically we're going to the rollback rate using the old terminology. So we want to get more, we want to maximize our funding, and so we want to go with the highest that we can get to without voter approval. So just a history on our tax rate. Our current tax rate is 0.507771. And so basically the way you get to it is you take your M&O, which is your maintenance and operating, that's what you see in yellow. And then you take that orange box, the little box, that's your debt rate. That rate is used to pay our debt. So those two should equal the actual rollback rate in this case, or the voter approval tax rate as a new terminology. So our proposal right now, look at the very last column to the right, is 0.495178. The breakdown would be the 0.046333 for the M&O rate. And of course, your debt rate would be 0.031845. So when you add those two together, it'll give us the actual voter approval tax rate of the 0.495178. And this is just a history, as you can tell.
And that's fiscal year, right?
Correct, yes, ma'am. And look at 19, so we are going down. Our current tax rate is 0.507771, and we're proposing the 0.495178. So that's pretty good because, of course, it's a savings on the taxpayers out there. Now, this is only from the city standpoint. That's nothing to do with the other taxes that are like the school district, as an example. That's a separate tax rate. So
rate-wise, we're going down about 2.5%.
Yes, sir.
The other side of the coin is that a lot of people in this county saw valuation increases up in the 10% range. So
I mean, it works in our benefit in the sense of our assessed values increase, therefore
Right.
we don't need to tax everyone at this rate. We can lower that rate.
Yeah.
If it was the opposite, then we have a higher tax rate that we'd be proposing. So, but in this case, it's lower. So again, the proposed tax rate is 0.495178, and I have that first part is a current tax rate. So and like Mr. Carey said, it's about 2.5 cents roughly. Different. So certified values, back on the 25th of July by law, we have to have, we get certified values that are sent to every municipality. In this case, for 2020, our assessed values were about 289 million, whereas the year before they're at 269 million. And so basically the assessed values is the market value minus the productivity loss minus the homestead cap. So in a nutshell, basically it's you got your assessed and you got your net taxable. So your net taxable would be based once all the exemptions go away from whatever exemptions people have, this would be our net taxable. So again, that you saw an increase there from the prior year to this year coming up. So that's why we were able to lower our tax rate because of those assessed values going up. So
Great. And I think that was a little bit confusing in the paper where they had notice of tax rate increase where it's actually a tax rate decrease.
It is, and we'll get more into that once you actually approve the tax rate, because by law there's a certain way that the council we have to state it, and you'll have to approve it. And it seems like, wait a minute, you're increasing taxes, but really in reality we're not. It is confusing.
Right.
And it's like that even coming from the school side, it was that same thing. It's like, wait a minute, we're not increasing, really we're decreasing, but the way it reads, we are increasing. So, but there's certain verbiage that we have to follow by law in this case. So. Just right quick, this is just a calculation of how to calculate your tax rate, what your taxes are going to be. And so based on our current tax rate of 0.4, or our proposed tax rate of 0.495178 on a home of 175,000, they're going to pay about $866. That's without exemptions. This is a straight, no exemptions whatsoever. And then I kind of gave other examples of 225, 275, and 325. If they have exemptions, look down below, the person that at 175, they got that $10,000 exemption, then they're going to pay about $817 a year versus $866 a year. And so that just a quick calculation on how to calculate what your taxes are going to be. And this is only from the city of Castroville only. So.
Great.
Just some of the exemptions. We got the homestead exemption, and that 25,000. That's for school taxing units only, so it doesn't apply to us. You got the over 65, which is $10,000 off the value of the property, and that's the example I was showing y'all. Then you got the disabled persons. You got the, of course, other exemptions that we have. On the next slide, I'll show you the disabled veterans exemptions, but these are just like the standard ones that you have to apply for. They're not going to give it to you just because, hey, you turn 65, you get 10,000. No, you have to go and apply for it to get that exemption. So the next one is the disabled veterans. It's broken up by different categories. It depends on how much.
The percentage of disability rating that VA is assigned.
Correct. So that's just a breakdown of what that looks like there. So any other questions before I go on? Okay. So, well, this is the last slide here. This is our first public hearing on the tax rate. Our second one is set for next Tuesday at 5 o'clock. And then we're going to have our first public hearing on the proposed budget. And then I forgot to include this other bullet in there, but on the 22nd, we're going to have our second public hearing on the proposed budget. And then we'll go into the city council meeting to go ahead and approve the budget and adopt the tax rate. So this is pretty much in a nutshell. I think y'all were given, or y'all have a clean copy, updated copy of the budget. We'll go over that next Tuesday. We're not going to go over into details. It'll be just a brief overview, kind of like this. But if you have any questions, please let me know, because on the 22nd, that will be set for approval on that. So that's all I have.
Okay. And I think that as long as we, for those, I think that as long as we get all the questions out by
Sure.
by next meeting, that gives us, I mean, I think if anybody on council has questions, get directly with Leroy on that.
Yeah.
And if we can't get those answers out until then, I think it gives it a little bit more time to go through that, so that's good.
And
Thanks.
then also next Tuesday, we're going to look at it's a public hearing on the proposed budget, and then the second public hearing on the tax rate. I'm not going to change anything. It'll be the same thing. But then we're also going to talk about the comprehensive fee schedule. And I just realized it's not a regular city council meeting. I don't know why I put that up there. It's a special one, yeah. So, any other questions? Nope. All right, well, thank you.
All right. So let's close the public hearing at 5:15.
Well, no.
Oh, no?
Let me make sure there's not anybody on there, because they can still see.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's right.
I'm sorry. I don't think I have, no, I have no one.
Okay, perfect.
So, hey, what?
Let's actually close it at 5:16 then?
Yes.
And when's our next meeting?
Tuesday,
Next
next Tuesday, the
Tuesday.
15th.
Next
At
Tuesday.
5 o'clock.
Okay.
All right. Next item, number 9, public hearing on proposed extension of the juvenile curfew ordinance number 2009-003, originally adopted November 5th, 2008. So open the public hearing at 5:16.
Chief, is this a useful tool?
Yeah, it can be. I've been here 9 years and used it once. Most of the time I get a kid, I'll take them home or follow them home and talk to the parent. They live outside the city, I try to make the parent come pick them up at night. I'll write them a ticket and take them home.
Any other questions on this? And this is, just to be clear, this is something that has been in place. We have to review it every 3 years. So the reason that we're reviewing it is because, it's good to take a look at it, make sure that it's good. I appreciate the question to the chief. Are there any Are there any issues with it, anything that we need to change up?
It's not.
It's all the way it is?
Very often.
Yeah.
Pretty much when it's our local kids, we make a phone call with the parent, and we follow them home.
Yeah,
That's the end of it.
That's good.
So,
all right,
Read.
perfect.
Yeah, I read the ordinance and realized it's been around since '09.
That was back during the height of the game stuff. where
Right.
Cities were doing it, and this ordinance was piggybacked off of like San Antonio and Austin.
Yeah, so some wise people went together to put it and probably tweaked it a little bit after that, but it makes a lot of sense.
The Attorney General's office that came up with this thing originally.
Do what now?
The Attorney General's office.
Came up with this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like it makes a lot of sense, and it's not that, big a hardship. It just basically being sensible, so.
And-
I'm sorry?
That's the way mama up there, right?
Yeah. Hopefully.
Probably does more good that way, right?
Yeah, you don't see him again.
Is that something you'd like to see stay on the books then?
Yeah, definitely.
In the next meeting, our regular meeting, we'll have it, an ordinance again, basically revising the time of the
Okay.
date. And then in 3 years, we'll look at it again. And you can always look at it in between. We do have to have a public hearing though on it when we change it.
Perfect. All right, do we have anybody online still?
Let me look again, but I don't believe it. No.
Okay.
we do not.
All right,
Is the juvenile still 17 and under? Or?
Yes, it's
Okay.
16.
I'm sorry?
16 and under.
16 and under.
Under 17.
Under 17, okay.
great.
No
All right,
further
any other-
comments.
Anybody else? No. Okay, let's close the public hearing at 5:19. Next item is on discussion on progress of updating thoroughfare plan. So this is actually myself and Councilman Carey. I just wanted to kind of frame this up and just, I wanted to start in with what we're looking at for the thoroughfare plan. We've had a thoroughfare plan pretty consistently for a number of years. And I appreciate the fact that former Mayor Santleben had started to look at this, especially with Alsatian Oaks coming up. And I think this is just a good continuation. This is something that we need to be regularly updating. This really should be updated as our master plan should be every year. I don't know when was the last time this was actually updated? I think you were on that one, weren't you?
Well, we're supposed to review the master plan with all, I guess, the components every, I want to say 5 years.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
5-year plan.
And so this has been probably at least 5 years, but the council has reviewed it in between that.
Right.
Because if you don't need to do anything, I know when our former community development coordinator, Laura, was here, she had it on, of course, she was looking it over because she knew with the upcoming development,
Right.
it would need to be reviewed quicker. And so it's there, and we knew it.
Right.
But, and it's time, to definitely look at it since you have new development coming.
So with this, and really the update that I wanted to make sure that I was clear on is that we're talking about how do we deal with the traffic now, once the new high school is going to be, what did we figure, that was 7 years away at least? So the traffic patterns will change, but we're trying to look at the traffic patterns with the new growth that's going on, where it's happening. We don't have the challenge yet of sustained growth to the west of town, which I think is an inevitability, and we are getting prepared for that. There's been, Councilman Carey's been really lenient on that portion of it. So let me let Councilman Carey kind of give us an update with where he's gotten with that, and then I wanted to talk about a little bit more long-term, how we're approaching it currently.
I had a conversation with Clayton Rips. He's the traffic engineer for TxDOT, and the discussion was about interacting with Highway 90 and 471 North, Highway 90 east of town and 471 north of town, and the fact that Alsatian Oaks has pretty well occupied one of the routes that had been looked at previously. So utilizing Alsatian Oaks, because they are proposing an eastward stub out street that could be connected to Highway 90 somewhere, and the optimal use of that would be to connect it through at Victory Lane so that you could collect 471 traffic all for south to 471 north pretty much without coming through the stoplights on Highway 90. I remember back when we were talking to the people from Alsatian Oaks before we'd approved it, they were looking already at the stub out street that they're showing on the western boundary of Alsatian Oaks, and the fact that Castroville should move quickly to establish a connection from there to 471. So that's pretty much a slam dunk. We need to do that. So that's the current position is to connect Victory Lane to 471 out the west side of Alsatian Oaks, which would give an alternative traffic pattern and relief to some of the Highway 90 traffic. Continuing west from that, there's at Flat Rocks Crossing, there's a brief break in an almost continuous road. I don't remember which county road it is, but it goes about 2 miles west and then turns south, and that has been discussed and I think should continue to be examined as a possible route. That's obviously outside the city limits, so we definitely need the county to be on board with that, and that process is being explored. So that would pretty much give you an alternative route, and just a good plan for future traffic passage, getting cars in and out of Castroville, in and around Castroville, from Highway 90 to Highway 90, which would be an ideal accomplishment. So we will continue to pursue it.
Cool. And we have been, as you're all aware, we've been working with the county, with the school district, working with TxDOT, and then local businesses to make sure that they're aware of what's going on. And the biggest struggle that we have for the foreseeable future, we've seen it already. Every time you come west into town in the evenings or leave out east in the mornings, you see all the traffic that's going on there. So the number one place that we're trying to really attack is that east-west street from 471 really out to 90, out somewhere around Victory Lane. So what I'd really like to do is, as we get some of these things solidified, because TxDOT has to be involved with it, the county really should be involved with it, and they've been very gracious in their support of this, and then working with the school district to understand where additional growth is coming, what their traffic patterns look like. It's a really good cohesive group getting together on this. So I think that we need to first and foremost get that line on the paper and say, this is where our thoroughfare plan is, going from 471 north of 90 out east to Highway 90. And part of that is getting the traffic routed around so that it's not all going through, well, it's not going through Country Village, people trying to circumvent the light there at 90 and 471, and so that it handles some of the growth, the new growth that's going to come in Alsatian Oaks. And the developer there has been very gracious in helping accommodate portions of that. And so we really want to look at any new development as they go east of Alsatian Oaks toward 90, out toward the kind of the entrance onto Highway 90 up west. We want to make sure that we're coordinating with them to get it on the book so that they can actually do that. Maybe even giving them some assistance, working with the county to give them some relief on some development, as long as they incorporate it into the thoroughfare plan. So this isn't going to be a quick fix, but if we don't get on it right now, we're going to miss the boat, and we're going to be stuck with all the traffic that crams into us.
And really, this accomplishes something that we were advised to do by the TxDOT people and the county back earlier this year when we all met at the county office, and that is, we need to put a line on a map so that when we get a developer who comes in and wants to develop a piece of property, we can say, great, we need to get from A to B. And
Right.
That's already a plan and already adopted by this council. So we really need to move pretty quickly on deciding what route we want to use, and just getting it in the hands of our development office and into the hands of the county. So I would like to see that on an agenda item pretty quick, because there aren't a whole lot of decisions to be made. We don't have a lot of options left in terms of where we're going to put those routes.
So just wanted to make sure that you were aware of our progress with it, and if you've got any input from people in your district or people that you know in the city that they want to be a part of that, be informed about it, or have any kind of input to that, then we would definitely welcome that. So
I have already compiled a list of the property IDs and landowners that would be considered and whose property would be involved, and I will get that ready for presentation very soon.
All right, yeah, let's make sure that I want to get that done by the end of the calendar year, earlier if possible. We've just got a lot of stuff going on right now with budget, but I definitely would like to get that line on paper by the end of the calendar year.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right. Any other discussion? No?
Agreed.
All right. I like that kind of discussion. All right. So that's all I've got on that. And I'm sorry it's so late. You're going to be able to go home early. So.
There's a storm coming, that's why my phone's going on.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's supposed to get pretty heavy rain starting tonight, tomorrow
It's
night.
coming through Hollywood Park right now, and it's talking about hail and high winds. and
Really?
It's
Yep.
coming this way.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Our first cold front of the year's coming.
Yeah, we're only supposed to be high of 73 on Thursday.
Nice.
No,
I am so looking forward to that.
that's bad for
And
nerve
a low
damage.
of 58.
That means I'll be drugged up and in my chair at home.
Nothing around us close right now, though.
No, it's
Good.
coming from Hollywood.
Okay.
They're
So we're gonna-
supposed to get like 5 inches
It's
of
coming from,
rain.
it's coming
Yeah, we
from
wanna
where
get
she
this-
has to go.
I'm going to use the gavel. I'm not really.
He's all
Okay.
right.
I'm just
Come on,
waiting.
hammer
I
that
want to.
thing.
All right, so discussion on future agenda items. Have we missed anything that you guys want to go over?
I got some, I know you guys aren't going to be happy with, but we need to start thinking of it Halloween. With coronavirus going on, what's the city's, I'd like a briefing on what's the city's plan A, plan B, as far as allowing trick or treating in the city.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know Blue Bash is canceled.
Oh, yeah, I know Blue
All the
Bash-
activities are, unless the church is having something.
Really?
But with trick or treating, people are going
That
to start
storm's
asking.
moving away from us,
Public
by
right
the
of way
way.
stuff, yep.
So I'd like to hear
Moving north.
what the city's plan is as far as plan A, plan B for trick or treating.
We
Just
just
got
got,
to keep the groups under 10, then you're within the government order, right?
Right, and then it's,
traveling in family
I'll
units.
save about $200 if you can.
But that way we can have a plan and we
Hey,
can get
hammer
it
me.
out there for everybody, all the citizens and
Get it
everyone.
in, get it in the newspaper.
Yeah.
sure.
I got a newsletter.
I gotta say this, I think Councilman Gerard just made a motion that counts on Halloween. Did I hear that?
No,
We will send them all to your house.
I would want to wait till
Sorry,
the last minute to
we
do
can't
that.
we can't have a vote on that, sorry.
I'm just joking.
No, that's right.
For the record, I'm
But that
joking.
way
Okay.
we can start thinking of that.
Yeah, definitely.
And are
Very
you
good
thinking
point.
then a discussion about that? I don't know that there's any action that we want to take.
No,
because then
it's
that's-
just a discussion of what the city plan is and what's approved.
Right,
Yeah.
That way we can get it out there for our citizens to know
right.
and their family members that come in from San Antonio to come here to come trick or treating. I mean, they come to my neighborhood. My neighborhood's a popular one.
Turn the
Gotcha.
dog on 'em.
Turn the porch light
I
up.
guess related to that would be a discussion, I mean, that would be for the news, for the October newsletter.
Yeah.
That would go out. You don't want to do it in September, but November, I mean,
No, and that
October.
would give us some time to, hopefully things will change a little bit maybe, but
But that's
If-
why I said a plan A, plan B
yeah,
type thing.
no, you're right.
That way that
Absolutely.
families can, not be like they have been in the years past where they're not all underneath the same roof, but they all pile into the same vehicle or on a
Right.
trailer and stuff like that.
Well, the governor may change too. He may, I think he's going to speak at some point on some different things, and he may
Yeah.
address it too.
Yeah,
That's
Sure.
true.
Okay.
but
Well,
just something to put out there.
Agreed.
That way we're ahead of the ball game and not behind.
This
One-
is, okay.
that-
This is not an agenda item, but it's something, if we're going to put something in the newsletter, I've had a couple people ask me for direction on, and I had it so I could give it to them, but we need to get it out there. the rules for our recycling service in terms of what you put in the bin and what you don't? Because
We're about to put something out
Yep.
this
Good.
week, and then also more literature as it gets closer, what you can and can't put in there, so
Because
definitely.
And that's
when you
gonna
start
come
getting
out-
those 96-gallon bins,
Right.
people.
And that comes directly from Waste Management. They'll they have something put together for us.
Perfect,
so, yeah.
perfect, all right.
They'll put it
Good
together
news.
for us for the newsletter, they'll put it together for the social media,
And I
the
know they're gonna-
website, and then also on the trash cans
The
as well.
recycle bins are going to put stuff out there to let you know when they deliver them, here's what you can put in there, what you can't put in there.
Perfect.
So,
Right.
Excellent.
yeah.
Yep,
Good
In the
idea.
past, they've also passed on to us a list that we kept up front or out on our information shelves, so
Mm-hmm.
people could pick it up too on what they could and couldn't.
so and I think that's something good for the newsletter as well, just to have that in there, just,
Sure.
it helps people remember that. All
And
right.
tell them also where they can find them, where can I find this later? So,
Yep.
Yep.
okay, thank you, that's
Okay.
it. The only other thing I was thinking of, we had been discussing the home occupation ordinance, we gotta bring that back up sooner or later.
That's part of the work session.
Gonna be a part of the workshop, yeah.
After
Yeah.
the budget,
Right.
it's on the list.
Oh,
Yep.
it's on your list, thank you.
And that'll be a joint, that'll be a joint thing with P and Z.
P&Z.
And that way, we can give them, they can come with suggestions, we give them direction. The biggest thing that we need to do with any of the ordinances that we're looking at changing with P and Z is give staff and give the commissions really good instruction about what our intent is. What I've seen in the past is it's more like go back and fix it, and so we want to be very diligent about coming up with good solutions.
Specific.
So, okay, I like it.
That's it.
Anything else? Okay, Councilman King?
Related to Councilman Carey's thing related to trash, we also need to remind people that with the new contract, they can put bulk as well as tree limbs out monthly now, and not just twice a year. So somehow we need to
Schedule or
get,
something.
through that same newsletter or something,
Sure.
we need to let people know that.
I don't know, I'll check. The newsletter that he sent us that's going to go out this week, if that may be in there, but I'll double check though, as far as like the schedule, so.
Good.
Yeah, all of it.
Okay.
Great, anything
And
else?
6 cubic yards, not 8.
Hmm?
And 6 cubic yards, not 8.
Right.
You get trash and bulk monthly.
Okay. That's
That's
it?
it.
All right, Councilman Sherritt?
That's enough right there.
All right.
I'll stop.
And I think that I've communicated all the stuff that and Deborah's got all that stuff, so. All right, sounds great. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I will be adjourned.
Do we need
I'll
a second?
second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
At 5:35.
at 5:35.
Thank y'all.
Nicely done. All right,
Pro
And
Tem?
my live stream stayed on.
that's why we have to do them